Hello. Just give me a moment here. Little behind. I just had to send the link to Tank. So welcome, and hello. So let's see something going on in the background here. Hang on a second. There we go. They're very dramatic. Well, this is looks like it's going to be one of those days. We're looking at how things are moving along with our progress with getting project funding. Wait for if there's an update from Tank, but. The other things that are going on, it seems like there's quite a bit of activity. Different people in these, let's say, alternative groups for bringing funding to the world have been popping up. So there's a lot of activity, news things that are coming out. I'm not really going to dive into. Some of these. I know some people are in alignment with them, and sometimes I'm looking at things and saying, and trying to discern what I'm pulling out of it. But in certain ones, if there's really I feel like a very negative, presence to it. I really don't want to dive into it, and it's hard to really put into words the reason. But someone sent me a video on one of them yesterday. I did watch it, but my experience wasn't good, and I'm not going to go into that. But that's just one of 3 from yesterday. There's also a lot of people sending emails and things like that, and that's appreciated. If you're asking to pass something on to Tank, I do. I send it right on. So that's and I respond as also just letting you know. So thank you for your attention in these matters. Now, on that, I'm going to have to give kind of a public, no, wrong word, not public. A TBC community / Kringle Society kind of announcement. For those people that are watching, have not been really following along with what goes on in the community blog, there has been a major change in the way the system is functioning. A lot of times in the past, people have looked at the way it's set up because there's referral links, right? So people get signed up. They say, "Oh, is this a pyramid scheme, or is there network marketing?" And all of the aspects of what make things network marketing, there were certain things that whenever you're building a business and you're doing it by networking, it is kind of network marketing. So TBC and Kringle Society had kind of a networking flavor, but it was never a networking business. There was no central place where you were going to go and get your products, and it was everything comes by way of the members. Everyone who is selling coin, and only the members. So the central wallet, for example, it only gives out coin by promotion, and tremendous amounts of coin by promotion. So that's how the system works, is by growing the membership, and then you can sell coin along the way. So again, it was not a network marketing business. But that is going to be much harder for us to say it's not a network marketing business because now there's residual income as passive income. Because now from what's happened is there's a lifetime wallet fee that's been 4 grains of gold. It also included, you know, a 1-year subscription to the promotion site, Kringle.cash. So that is the standard way. You basically paid your 4 grains of gold, which was roughly around $11, $11. Gold price is going up, so it floats a little bit. So the Kringle cashback, that's how you got your free coin, right? By participating in promotions, you know, bringing more people in. You got rewarded by points. You can redeem those points for coin. So now this fee for your 1 year for Kringle cashback office also included your lifetime wallet fee. So now it's actually monthly fee of double that amount. It's now 8 grains of gold, which is roughly $21, $22. So that is a significant increase, but half of that goes to the sponsor. So in essence, for every new member that is coming in with you, you end up getting half of that. It comes back to you in the system. You can draw down upon that. So, but since it's a monthly fee of say $21, you're going to have to bring in at least 2 people a month so that it covers your cost of having the promotion site. There's not multiple levels in this. It's only from your direct referrals. So now what this means though is that people that are you know, in this and, you know, add people sporadically. You know, some people are active for a couple months and they go and they do a couple things and they come back. You know, a lot of my team members, I have partners with many people in the community. You know, they go away for 3 months, 6 months, and then they come back and they say, what's going on? And they bring a couple more members. Now, when that happens, when they get active, right, that means they're going to end up paying their fee. You'll actually get half of that, which would be say roughly $11. So, or 4 grains of gold, whatever that turns out to be at that time. So this is the new system that's been in place, and there's a lot of activity and there's a lot of confusion. And every time you change something major like this, so I know this is not really the topic of these broadcasts that I'm doing with Tank, but I'm not. You know, these take up so much of my day handling this broadcast that it's been difficult for me even to finish one video I've been working on for weeks, just creating the graphics for it. Now I had to go back and change some of the graphics because of the changes. But even I can't even finish that video. So I'm taking this opportunity to express to people that are watching, they're part of my 12,000 subscribers that are doing it because of TBC and Kringle. Please be aware of this change that has occurred. This is exciting for many people because now they now see a cash flow system that is more immediately giving them a return. Even if they bring some people in, they haven't had any benefit directly in their pocket for that. So there were a lot of hardworking people out there that were not. People were not buying coin from them. They would end up just getting through promotions coin, and so that was how it's been running. So there's this major change. So for those that are interested in developing this, especially if you're a network marketing person, this is going to fit right in with the way you like to operate. So basically, it's like 50% commission if you want to look at it that way. That type of business is pretty good overall, and this is something that has been around for 3 years now, and is growing, and as this is showing, is evolving. So, if you'd like to get involved, my link is down below for Kringle Cash. So that's how you join. If you need help in paying, you don't have Bitcoin, you can go to my buykringles.online site and sign up for me to pay that for you. You can pay your site fee for your 8 grains of gold, and then we can talk about how you want to turn this into a cash flow business or not. Okay, I'm done with that public, again, not public, Kringle announcement, Kringle Society announcement. Okay, so what else? So as I said, there's a lot going on. So in the things that we've been watching inside, so let's say the QAnon side of things, with the ability of this new channel of information from 8chan and all those that are coming out into the world, and now we see New Zealand trying to ban it and things of that nature. So these type of things are been percolated, but it's always seems to be like a defensive position, like everything is just not happening as fast as people like it. They say trust the plan. Tank doesn't like that at all. He doesn't like trusting the plan. No, but the idea of everything that has been to this point is to set up things, open up this channel so that the information can get out. So the information is out. So the channel has been established, and there's now been a change in tactics. It's now gone from a defensive or positioning type of environment to offensive. Basically, the offense has now taken off, and we see with what's happening is that the people who were the hunters are now the prey. The ones that have been going after Trump are now still pretending to go after Trump, but really they're starting their defense, and the offense is just building up. The Mueller report was just the first salvo. Now we saw that there was criminal referrals by Nunes that was given to the Justice Department. This means that they're saying, look into these criminal charges. We want the Justice Department to go after that. There was 8 of those. 3 of them seem to be more about conspiracy, not just about an individual that's been highlighted and say, check out this person. Here is a conspiracy. Here is Russian collusion. They're not. No, I added that, but this is where you can see things are going to be headed. It's like turning around and now being a mirror. So everything that they were saying is now going to be said to them. Russian collusion. Who was doing the Russian collusion? So the offense is now starting. And we saw on yesterday's broadcast, we had discussed about all the people now that have resigned or been removed in these high-level positions: the head of Secret Service, the head of the Department of Homeland Security. So the Nunes in the Treasury Department and 2 of his top aides are all on their way out the door. Now, this looks to me like, since the offense is going to occur, is that if you were going to have funds flow out, that it wouldn't have been able to happen until there was the offense occur. So if there's any time when funds can start flowing, it is after the offense is starting, because that would be part of an offense. We're going up against the cabal, the deep state, the darkness, and since we're going up against the darkness, we have to wait for these things to line up so that we all go and attack on multiple fronts. One would be funding projects. QAnon now making the push into the phase 2, which is the attacking against the deep state and going after those that were claiming Russian collusion. The removal of these top-level people in the government, especially ones that were stopping the funding from flowing. So if this is what is now happening, we can all feel the energy of this. And it's been very chaotic last couple last couple of days, you could feel this energy. So, and welcome, Tank. Tank, you've made it to the show. No flat tires, nothing interfering. Oh, you're not ready. So I'm
Dan, you talking to me?
Yeah, I was talking to you. Yeah, sorry. Yeah. I said.
No, you were a little. You were a little froggy. Sorry, it was hard to understand you.
Oh, sorry about that. I'll speak closer to the microphone.
No, I think it's they're just man, they're jamming our signal, dude. We're trying to get the message out. So inevitably, that's what's gonna happen.
Yeah, I think our message is getting out from the amount of people that are responding to you and me. It's pretty interesting. There. I'm not really. Like I enjoyed the information coming from the guy who was working with a way of representing reality with platonic solids and the math behind that and how simplistic it actually is for things for understanding. Once you know the building blocks, it's easy to build up. Also would explain some part of why all those flat earthers, if you were to look at this this pattern, why there can't be a flat Earth. It doesn't scale that way, right? It doesn't resonate at that from the core of reality up to be a flat plane.
Well, I realize with all of these psyops, all of the extended psychological operations, right? And I've read a lot of stuff through, through some of the back channel CIA sites and stuff like that. And I'm always fascinated because they'll report things that happen, but they won't really tell you the real intent of stuff. So when you know the intent, it like gives you a whole different story. They were talking about how they trained, they use psyops to train the, in Nicaragua to train the guerrillas, and familiarize everybody with the guns and make the guerrillas the heroes so they can overthrow the government and stuff like that. But I realized the real intent of all psyops is to deafen creation or to stop. I'm trying to come up with a good word to capture the gravity of what I want to say, but to stop creation. They want us to. They don't want us to create, right? So even with the flat Earth, right? It's like, well, if you understand the basic spiral that Tui was talking about, right? The the Ankh or whatever, and this basic principle that you see all over the place, right? You constantly see this repeated. Spiraling in the universe. That is the the origin of creation. So they want us to stop us from creating. So flat Earth, I don't really think lends itself to that kind of a spiralized creation, right? So if you master that, then what, right? There's no more creation. That's it's like we don't create. This is what it is. It's the infinite plane. There's no place to go. you know. So everything's about imprisoning us in our own minds. Fascinated by it, actually. So that is what I want to talk about a little bit tonight. You and I and everybody here, actually, because I it's been a crazy, it's been a really active, fun few days. In the battle for planet Earth, right? This is not a battle of guns, right, and weapons, not traditional weapons. It's a cyber war and a frequency war, right?
Information war.
Information war, right? But that still goes back to frequency, right?
Sure.
And so I was watching this broadcast today. Somebody, like, people send me stuff, so I don't, I never get all the way through almost anything, but I caught the gonna
No,
leave names off of because I really don't want to empower.
Say that again. You faded out.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to I said this broadcast that I'm not going to name because I don't really want to empower this kind of nonsense, right? But I do think it's important to point out because I realized the frequency was so heavy, right? It was so low. So this other group that's working with the elders, right? And they're talking about the breakthroughs of the NSA, and they have connections with the CIA and the various intelligence agencies, right? And we all know these organizations are corrupt. So it's amazing to me that we'll latch on to people when they use them as their reference point, right? This is where their training came from, right? We all know, the CIA, spawned the OSS, the IS, all these different, sub intelligence agencies. They have their own military, and they've been conducting mind control. These are public record. I mean, these are facts. You can go to the CIA library and look it up, right? And people will still talk about their experience with the CIA as if that should mean we should trust them. And I realized how smart it is, right? Because they implemented so much mind control in so many aspects of our life that they know that somehow we still hear CIA and we still trust that, right? Because we were taught, right? I was watching this video. They were showing how back in the day they used to end the news broadcast with the national anthem, and the words would come across the screen. As the words would come across the screen, there would be another message hidden right behind it, and your subconscious mind would process it. And it would say things like, I forget the catch. It was like obey, worship, government. It was like, one of them was government is God, right? Or as God, something like that. So they're so confident in their mind control, or they are mind control so much themselves that they still believe it, that they'll use those as reference points all the time. Like, oh, we're working with the NSA, but I can tell you actively, it's the NSA and various agency levels that were trying to steal money from the trust, right? Um, then they had a new M1. So praise the Lord, people. Praise the Lord, because there's a new M1. Thank God. So so this individual comes out, and he's the new M1, right? Now, for the record, so there's no confusion. The M1 level, it's a level. It's not a person. Okay.
It's
Well,
not what?
now it's not a person.
Oh,
Okay,
so
it's a level. It's a level, and what it means is that you have the ability to, or at the M1 level is where assets are turned into usable cash. It's only the M1 level that has that authority. So that's why whenever they would talk about the M1, it was such a coveted position because they were the ones that could take the assets, which are, not really, that were hidden, and turn them into usable cash, right? So this was the code. This was the M1. And the first thing he starts talking about is what was it? Everything he was talking about was he started at Wall Street, right? And his all experience with the elite, right? He talks about the 125 royal families, which anybody doesn't know, there's a time where they put all of these families together. I think to get Sukarno or something like that, or something like that, right? To create the perfect royal who represented all the royal bloodlines, which kind of makes you wonder what are the rest of us, you know?
yeah, it was the plan that of the experts is what it was called to
Yes.
intermarry 128 royal families from around the world, and this started 300 years ago. And they were to marry together so that they would, in essence, become one family. And the head would have been that child, the male child that was born from the combination of these families. And so the breeding program uh, bred 128 together, right? So then you ended up with 64 pairs, all right? And those 64 pairs were married together and became 32 pairs. And then they were married together and they became 16, then 8, 4, 3, I'm sorry, 8, 4, 2, and then 1. And the one was the first to be born of this that represented all was President Sukarno of Indonesia. He was born around 1900. So, but it wasn't until he was signing with JFK and creating the new money that you know we became aware of this side of the financial system from that interaction. Otherwise, most of the traces of it have been hidden from everyone.
Right. So you have, so he was talking about that, and then he was talking about this, and this is the thing that kind of it represents an alternate reality that you can have this reality if you want. Anybody, so you know, this option is on the table. So the same people that have enslaved you for 16,500 years, they have been deep in negotiations about how to create an orderly fashion to distribute the money. What they did say is he did say there's a misconception about the global currency reset. People think they're going to get these massive amounts of money, right? And he's like, and that's not going to happen. And he's like, and he was like, and this is what rubbed me the wrong way a little bit. He said, you know, you can't just let people have money, right? I'm like, as soon as he said that, I was like, banker, you are a banker, because that's the way they think. You can't let the savages have money. What would happen? We would we would spend it on stuff. What's gonna happen, right? So he talks
Fear,
about,
fear, fear.
yeah. So you put out a message like that to people, and it triggers a response in us like, yeah, what would I do? What do I know about money? All I need is this. All these slave mentality thoughts that we have, right? That we're constantly, you know, in this world of be, like recreating ourselves as slaves, right? But we don't have to do that. Um, but he was talking about the various aspects of the royal families and them being in the best position to do this and that, and how all these different government agencies have been working on this for a long time. And he says typical stall tactic talk, right? He's like, and there's a lot of ego involved, and everybody's got to give a little, and then it goes back the other way. Can I just can can I just say all of that is BS? Every single word of it, because first of all, this is not hard. It's not hard. It's made hard because they're lying all the time. So when like when you're lying and you have to like figure out because the lie didn't work out the way you wanted, so now you got to create another lie. That is basically what the world they've created, right? And the only way to break that up is to right point it out and see it just by our observation of it. We destroy it and to create the world we want to create.
Yeah, well,
So
in the
I thought that was
beginning,
fascinating.
when I started the broadcast here, I did actually mention that I saw this. This we're referring to the same video, and the new M1, and my core feeling about it, was not that it was not good. The energy about it was not good. So I'm trying to, and I said I didn't want to name them and talk about it, but from that standpoint, yeah, this is something that there was something a lot wrong with that. The guy was from Wall Street, right? Yeah, so the outside of Wall Street, you guys don't deserve money, right? You can't handle the money.
Right.
Only
Right.
we know how to handle the money.
Yeah. I know, and you guys have done, and they have done such a great job. If we were just to make a practical, business move, right? So, and we're going to base it on experience. And so, okay, so what's your experience as, Wall Street, the a banker? Well, every single bank was insolvent. 80% of the currency is counterfeit. The world is in a constant state of need, right? I mean, every place on the planet, it seems everyone's convinced there's not enough to go around, right?
Right.
So that's the world they've created, right?
Scarcity mindset.
Right,
Not enough.
scarcity mindset.
There's just
So
not enough of anything. What there is, we have to manage it because you guys don't know how to do it.
right, because we're savages, we're animals. So then, now let's take the other side of it. Now, Kim says, and this is published, by the way, this is on the Speak Project. I don't remember when she wrote it, but she said, I believe that everyone in this world is made up of creators. Or she said, I believe this world is made up of creators, and every individual is a creator. And they have the right, the authority, and the ability to go and create. She also said, I mean, she just said this to me yesterday. She said, she was kind of saying, like, she said, I'm the one. And she wasn't being boastful. She was talking about how the banks, the governments, these are all made up of people too, right? So any of you agency guys and all you government people who listen to this and, you know, want to pretend like we don't exist, that's fine. That's fine. But at the end of the day, your silence is your consent too. The fact that you have had the opportunity to take action and change this and you don't is your consent to enslave yourself, to commit genocide against every human being on the planet. And you are liable, just for the record. Now, what Kim said was, she said, I'm the one that chose humanity over all others. Right? And she was just saying that in reference to, like, you know, and then she said, and now I have to prove it. Now, I don't know. That to me, that world that she's describing, just in that one sentence, right? That sounds like a world where you've got the real top of the, you know, the order, so to speak. And she's like, look, you know, I want to empower you, right? I chose you above all others. Now, what are you choosing? You know, what is your choice that you're making in these positions of power, right? Because she could have gone, they took her to another planet and said, look, you know, you can come here and start fresh, you know, be Adam and Eve, you know, and the planet was perfect and beautiful, you know, all natural. And she chose us, right? She chose to stand with us. Now,
Indeed.
indeed, thank you, Tui. So now you've got these other characters. You've got these other characters, and what are they doing? They got secret identities, right? Now, so basically what they're trying to do is they're trying to keep up the same illusion they've kept going for all these years, right? And they want to take us all back into the same system. So they say things that sound like they're, you know, good, right? They sound good. They sound nice. Humanitarian. We all think humanitarian is good, but humanitarian is just the law of war. It's what's appropriate on how to treat humans. So apparently it's okay to lie to us, to, you know, to pass us around, to sell us, to do all types of bad things to us, right? Because that's how they are, you know, how they interpret humanitarian. That's not to take away from anybody involved in humanitarian projects, by the way. But that's why the language is so important. You know, we're doing human empowerment projects, right? We want to empower human beings to recognize that they themselves are creators. You are creating this world. So I do think it's important not to try to straddle the fence and be like, oh, this is okay and this is not, right? No, because what you're doing in, you know, trying to hedge your bet and play both sides is you are holding their fake reality and you're giving it a chance and you're forcing everyone to wait longer because it's our collective, you know, consciousness and perception of the reality that we're creating. So
just remember, GCR, the big lie.
Yes.
Go back and look at the previous episodes that we did. We covered it for 2 weeks. GCR, the big lie. So if you
Hey, Dan.
Hey, Tui.
Hey, Tui.
Hey,
Sorry,
Tank.
up,
Hope you guys are doing well.
Hey, Tui, who said you could take a day off yesterday?
Yeah, we docked your pay.
We
docked your pay immediately.
well, I had to discuss some things with the elders and the chiefs, just on our the letters that we've been preparing for at this point in time about how we are interacting with the trust and the kingdom of Manna, and how to go about it. And so sorry I couldn't come in yesterday.
It's okay.
But
In that case, we're not going to dock your pay.
no, but I've been waiting for today, because today is the most important topic that you guys have just started out talking about, which is about the M1, the discussion about what Kim represent to the planet, because there won't be anyone else on the planet that will be able to recognize her like we do from here in Fiji. And so it's a role to actually recognize that sovereignty first before anyone else, because nobody else on the planet will remember it or even know about it. That's why our role is very important right now. And so there's a reason why time. There's a reason why I want to discuss this now, so that people can fully understand that we know that everyone is claiming to be who M1 is, and M1 this, M1 that, and the chiefs fully understood even before I wrote a letter to Kim 8 months ago. If Tank actually read the letter, and that letter, I told Kingdom of Manna, they will learn a lesson from this couple of months that is ahead, and they will learn because of how the Manna and M1 and how everything comes together in perfect unity, and people will be able to understand. And so there's a reason why we started out when we started a conversation.
Just for clarity, I want to just say that the video that I was referring to and Tank was referring to when we talked about a new M1, it has nothing to do, as far as I know, with the Kingdom of Manna. This is something separate thing.
Right. Yes. All right. That's all clear to us. Yeah. There's a reason why we started out. When the first conversation we had, you interrupted me and you said about how time begins in Fiji, and why are you using Fiji time? I tried to indirectly tell everyone, because people have been for thousands of years, they've been trying to search for M1. They're trying to, and M1 means the what you call in English, I can translate into firstborn, the firstborn. And so what they did for the whole planet, they tried to create the firstborn, and that's what you guys were talking about when they did that. They physically tried to get all their firstborn child to be married, and all the royals in the whole planet. But if you understand the structure of how the fifth element works, or how the Manna works, it begins here in Fiji. And what does that make the 12 tribes here in Fiji? It makes them the firstborn of all the planet. And that's why we are standing right now, and we're talking about Kim, because this ties into what the DNA and what the fifth element recognizes about Kim. She's part of the Ra collective agreement, like I said, but it won't make sense to everyone because they don't know what it is. To them, it will be oblivion. This is why it's called the place in Russia is called Russia. It's because of the agreement. It's not Russia, no. It's Russia, yeah. And the Ramanov and Za Confederacy is the title of the chiefly title there, which is the Za. And we represent the masculine energy, which is the Ra Confederacy. And together we represent the firstborn of the planet. And not chosen by human beings or chosen by anyone. It's chosen by the fifth element of the planet. And as we move forward, it will become more clear. And that's the reason why I'm in this position right now. I'm talking to the kingdom of Manna, of why they claim to be the kingdom of Manna, but they are not fulfilling, and they don't even understand the Manna, which is the fifth element. It is how everything just simply works together. There's a reason why time cannot be started out in any other place in the planet, and they deeply know this because I said it in one of the shows. The the great dragon families and all those royals, they fully understand what the role of the firstborn represent to the timeline. And so we had discussed with the chiefs yesterday on what our role is and what Kim's role is. And we said we'll stick to the plan because the agreement is the physical creation that we have to create now. I told them there's no other illusion that we're going to accept from any of these authorities. They've been given enough time, but all they've done is just doing the same thing that they've been doing. And so this is why I talk about how we should create a new agreement, and we should be able to create a new world in the future. We have to forget about all those ones that are claiming to be this, to be that. No, the fifth element. My family represent what you call a rasau. Rasau in Fijian means the firstborn of the firstborn, and so that's why I'm here talking to you for all this time. I want people to just figure it out on their own, but since we're talking about the topic today, it's not a coincidence. I've been thinking about it today before even coming to the show, and you people are actually talking about who is the M1 and all that. And so there's no one else that has been chosen by the planet. This is not chosen by human beings. No, this is chosen by the fifth element of how the planet works. It's a natural intelligence that is that has chosen and that is made up its mind. And this is part of the very old agreement that no one else will be able to remember, not even Kim. And that's what my role is. When you ask me, what is your role? I said, well, it will take time for you to actually remember and to be able to make sense of all the information, and then we'll figure it out. Because this is how sovereignty will actually be regained by the people that have forgotten everything about themselves. They will have to go through time to be able to remember the sovereignty within them. And as Tank has just talked about, the spiritual lesson or the spiritual agreement that she started to realize within her life, to be able to give back the sovereignty to the rest of the planet, to the rest of humanity. And that's the role that we're going to do together. She won't be able to do it alone. That's the reason why we are standing up as chief in Fiji, and we are writing that first letter. So we will be the first one to do it, and we will be the first one to declare it. And even though a lot of people won't fully understand it now, but in the future they will, because this is going to grow. It's going to grow just like a spiral from a point, and then it's going to grow naturally forward out of love and unity. And this is the reason why we are doing this with the Kingdom of Manna. We want to make them go back to the original agreement. Because as soon as they did that with the Kim, it spoils the timeline. And if they don't change, because I'm saying this because of my role as the firstborn, if they don't change, the spiritual energy will be recycled back into the what you call God, or the essence of the universe. And that's the role the collective mind will do, because this is our role outside of this planet. It's our role outside of the universe. In my letter to Kim, I told them that I lock the planet, I shield it out, and I seal the whole solar system. And people wouldn't even understand it, because I might just be here sitting down here in Fiji, I'll just be talking like a person, but I have to speak it out so that it can get into the consciousness of the people, and for them to be able to understand that the expression of the living expression that every human being is right on the planet is very, very special. It's the most powerful thing in the universe. They have to remember it. We just came, we were asked to come here to do this, and we have to stay in our form in all these thousands of years, because we were asked to come and help out for this moment right now, 2017 and onwards, to be able to help the people remember the sovereignty within them, because it's been taken out and it's been used by the system all times. And so if as per element have decided to do that, then we'll wait. Once it comes to the spiritual dimension, every spirit that disagreed with the agreement of the planet will be realigned. And this is how we practice it in our culture. And we've talked about it so much. No, it's just the way spiritual energy works. If there's a spiritual expression that has forgotten his way back to the unity, to the oneness, then they will be recycled back to the oneness. And they are judged. There are councils that look at it. And we are part of that council. We are part of that. The council is called the Azarata. And that's Kim. Kim is also part of that council. Azarata. And this council looks after the timeline of not just this planet, but millions and millions of planets. And I don't like to talk about it because I just talk about it because it's time for some people to actually realize the essence within them is very, very powerful. And the collective is within every single human being. And that's the reason why you are here, to help the planet, to help all the living things that is here. It's not just just one person and all this. This is all mentality of the old past. They're thinking that only one person will be able to save or do this, or someone from outside will. No, sovereignty has to be returned and is returning to the rest of humanity. And our conversation right now, while we're talking, it's actually returning. It's beginning to return just by discussing, just by talking. And yesterday I was thankful. Even today, I'm thankful that we talked with the chiefs in Hawaii, and we are getting connected. Because to us, we are the beginning, and they are the end. And that will, as soon as we get connected, then the timeline we'll create, because there's a lot of lessons that they've learned from being part of the states, being part of the system. There's a lot of lessons that we have learned, and everyone on the planet has learned. And all these lessons need to gain the wisdom as we go through the time. And then we'll be able to recorrect, reorganize, help people to regenerate and remember who they are. And so that is our role. And if someone else, like how the king, how as per element or other kingdom of Manna actually said that they actually use another authority of the planet to try and do what they do, which is the intention and the motives. It's everyone can actually see the motives and the intention of what they're doing, and so I asked them to change, because the oneness is one. If you get separated, then you will stick out. And so it's really simple. You just go back to the original agreement. If you don't, you will learn your own lesson. And now I told them the first time you get into contact that the 12 tribes of the South Pacific has woken up. We are not sleeping anymore. They won't be able to create any illusion in front of us, because we'll see through all these illusions. We've actually seen through everything, and we fully understand what's going on. There's so many things that they will need to understand and need to learn, but they won't be able to learn it if they choose the physical way of thinking and choose power, choose money. No, we are actually just one being, the whole entire fifth element, which is the essence of every living thing on the planet. This is what we call Manna in our language. Manna is the essence of life that is working together, that is in everything, that is everything. Which is similar to, equivalent to what people call or say God. So when Manna is represented physically in words, that's what it means. But when Manna is if you try to understand it, you have to just close your eyes, because you are Manna. And so this is a lesson of a sovereignty that we have to actually discuss on a communication level, and then innately inbuild it into the spiritual essence of each and every one. and then we'll be able to get that experience by exchanging it with one another through love, through recognition, and together we'll be able to create this new future that we want to create. And so I'm thankful that we are talking about M1, and because they tried to physically do this in thousands of years. They tried to do it not just over 100 years, but thousands of years ago. They've been trying to do it because they know only the M1 will be able to, in a way, fulfill the prophecies that they believed in so much. But as I said, what happened was the collective, we created the most advanced cryptography of people won't even understand it because it's so advanced that even just a few weeks ago, then people start to get that awareness. And if you'll be listening to what I'm saying for the past few days, past few weeks, you'll be able to gather it up and reconnect to everything that everyone is talking about. And so the illusions right now on the planet, it is time for everyone to live. You have to be sovereign. If you still give into all these illusions, all these powers, then they are still sovereign in your life. And to be able to do this, you have to learn how to control yourself, and you have to control your thoughts, control the way you focus your energy, control the way you try and give it away, because this is what your sovereignty is. As soon as you focus on a creation, you create and you focus on them. And so you must, if you get lost in this creation that you've created, then it is your lessons that you're going to learn from. And no one will come and help you but yourself. You will have to self-realize this. And this is the way you're going to self-regenerate and self-organize yourself. And then you get to the awareness that, is around you. But then, it's like I said, it's all lessons that everyone, they have their own time to be able to do it. But to be actually talking to you guys about it, I'm very thankful for it. I'm thankful to Tank and Dan. Thankful to everyone that's listening on the show, on the live show tonight. Thankful for everyone that is listening in and is on the exchange of live chat and everyone listening in the future. The sound of eagerness that I expressed before today is just, I've been thinking about the M1, and I know that everyone is confused about it, but it's simple. M1 is everyone that is within you. That's what you call in Christianity, the Christ that is within everyone. And we are just going to self-realize that and do it. And so to fight over who's the firstborn and who's all that, there are structures, there are ways that is organized, that the natural planet, the natural order of things that you can go against. If you go against it, then the lesson will be learned. And so this awareness is waking up now, that is waking up in everyone, not just correcting the past, but also recorrecting the future. And this is what the galactics understand, because we are their firstborn. The whole planet on the planet right now are the firstborn to the rest of the galactics right now. And they are waiting for this realization for everyone to get it and everyone to remember who they are. And that's why the Pleiades and all the people, or the actuaries, because they are us from the future. But we started it up. We start up that the timeline that they're in. And also, not just by us realizing this, we also correct the past and also reorganize the past. And in this moment right now that people are waking up, every single moment that every single people on the planet fully realizes this, they're not just correcting the future, but they're correcting also the past and the timelines of this planet. And this will heal the planet, it will heal the solar system, and it will move forward. And so for us, the collective mind, we are just here to guide and, in a certain times this way, when some things are not clear, we'll have to clear it out and we talk about it. And because that's our role right now. And so I'm thankful that, Dan, thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you for, allowing and talking and discussing. Every time you focus on a certain point, that's the most important point at that time. And so before I just came back from the waterfall and I can't stop thinking about the confusion of who the M1 is. And I told them, we will show them who's the M1. And that's the reason why we wrote a letter of sovereignty to Kim. It might not mean anything at that time yet, but as soon as we move forward, it will become more heavy and more, it will represent the sovereignty of everyone on the planet, not just people, but land and the sea and every hierarchy of the spiritual energies. I hear you guys talking about fairies and all the nature spirits. Yeah, they're all waiting for us. And I represent, Rasau represent all of them. And so as soon as we get get our stuff together, they will be able to get connected with them easily, because they are much just a little far ahead in the future from us. And we have to come there by reorganizing the essence within us. This is what the Manna is. The Manna is when everyone realizes it, we'll be one with everything that's separated from us. And we will have to learn this lesson individually. And then we'll go to take it to the family level, and then a group level, and then the national level, and then nation to nation, and then sovereignty will be recognized all over the planet. So I'm thankful that I'm thankful to Judy introducing me to the chiefs in Hawaii, because they are also, even though they didn't know that this is happening here, or we were talking about them, they're also waking up, because we are part of the same 12 tribe agreement. And we are like the beginning, and they are like the end. And it represents the completeness of the Ra Confederacy. And that's what the masculine essence of the Ra family that Kim represent to the Ra family entity. And as time goes on, I'm sure all this agreement that was held long past ago, long way in the past, will make sense as we pull it up together. It will make sense. So there's not a coincidence. There's no coincidence that everything now is happening. All the talking that we had, as soon as we talk, the probability of the future changes. The electromagnetic resonance of the planet changes, and that's the reason why. It's because we are just, we are supposed to be doing, or fulfilling the roles that we are here to do. And it's really simple. It's out of love, out of the Manna within everyone. And with that, unity is like the fruit, and is the byproduct. And all these things are just byproduct of how we express our sovereignty. And together we will learn this as we move forward. And this is how we'll grow into that remembering of who we truly are, and remembering the sovereignty that that you have to remember yourself. And so this is the experience that no one can teach you, but you have to learn on yourself by yourself as you move forward through time. And so yeah, we did that. I told the chiefs in Hawaii, we are the first. Fiji is the first one to recognize the sovereignty of Kim as not just a monarch, no, as the main monarch, not just a monarch. And so it will mean something to them. They will understand, because of what the Manna represents to the people of the 12 tribes in the Pacific. And so the Tongan, the Samoans, the Maori, and all the rest of them we will do it just as moving forward. And so if everything in the US will be stuck, we will move everything from here. We will send all the money from where we are. We will send all the projects. If that has to be done in that way. If they try to stop you from wherever you are, we'll send it to you from wherever in the world. And if we can create that together in the future, we will do it. And no one will stop us, because the agreement is to the people right now. There's no other sovereignty that was existing in the past. They don't exist anymore. The laws and the systems of money and all this, they've been cut off. 2017 is the end of all that agreement. That's the reason why I'm allowed to talk, and I'm allowed to reach out. I'm allowed to say these things. Sometimes it might be I'm speaking with a certain authority, but I can help it because it's part of my DNA agreement. And the chiefs recognize that. All the chiefs in Fiji will, when the time comes, and will be able to do that. We will restore the sovereignty of everyone, not just the people, but the living things. And people need to understand that there's so much for them to learn, so much for them to remember. But and I'm thankful that we are in that point in time, and point in time that we are recognizing that, we're discussing about it. And I thank you, humbly thank you, Tank, and then, and I thank everyone on the chat room. Thank you, Kim. Sometimes it will be hard for blindly moving forward and doing things. There'll be a lot of people against you, but I thank you because that's why you are doing that, because that's who you are, and only you can handle it. No one else will be able to do that, and that's why it's your DNA agreement. And so everyone else have their own role. I have mine, and to be able to recognize each other and recognize everyone else on the planet. This is how everyone will learn the true sovereignty that is within them. So I hope this message is heard with the pure intent of love and of
And it was heard with love, and that was Tui.
Tui out.
Over and out. Well,
Like, I'm done. I'm done talking
I'm
and
done.
listening. Bye.
Mic drop. Mic drop.
I know. I love it. I love it. Well,
Well, then he said goodbye and everything, and he was done. Well,
I did talk to Jude. I talked to Jude today, and I got to say, it really hit me that much more with her friend Jean, and he was breaking down, the sovereignty and how all the tribes came together and agreed, to this, that look, these are the natural laws of the planet that we all agree on, and they came to a consensus. Now, I mean, as long as I can remember, they've been battling about who's the rightful, kings of Hawaii, right? Who really is the one to inherit the kingdom. So to hear that they're come together and they're like, look, this is about, about the people coming together. That to me that's amazing news. I mean, I probably, I don't even know if I have the right to speak about that with enough gravity, because that's a huge ordeal, though.
Yeah.
To have them come to a consensus. So
it's all about coming together, because together we are strong. We don't need to focus on any of the differences. We just need to focus on moving forward together.
Yeah, I asked Gene, the gentleman that Judy talks to text me. He teaches about natural law, and he broke it down into 3 things. And Gene, if you're listening, this is why I wanted you to text it to me so I could reference it. But he said that I want to make sure I get this right. No, yeah, I'm not even gonna try, because I'm gonna get it wrong, because I didn't commit it to my memory fast enough when he was talking. But he basically was saying that it's, do no harm, which we all know, right? And he said, do no harm, and was there harm done, right? Either one. That's how you justify. He said honor your word, right? In other words, when you make an agreement, it's the natural law. You have to follow through on your word. And the first one, I just slipped my mind, but it was so powerful. He broke it all down into 3 principles, and I thought, think about it, the real law that governs the planet is as simple as 3 laws, right? 3 basic laws that we can all abide by. And a matter of fact, everything in nature does. I mean, everything just naturally does that. So that's a powerful witness, in my opinion.
Yeah, well, it'd be good to bring them on so that we can hear it firsthand.
Yeah, I'll text them now. Jude, Gene, if you're out there, come on board.
Yeah. So there's so much in what Tui says. I mean, I don't like to interrupt. He covers a lot of ground. So he is back on, after his mic drop. But he's when we talk about as you were saying, that the reach out to the Hawaiians, the reach out that's happening to the other Polynesian nations, I guess is the right terminology, but the energy is building. And I think that this is the best sign to show that that the things have changed, right? We noted yesterday that in government side, and Trump cleaning house, and the same, Kim making an agreement with the Secret Service, and three weeks later, the head of the Secret Service is gone. I don't know who made the agreement with, and so on, but these. I know he has he has a 10-day time to create a withdrawal. How the transition happens to the next guy. So there is so much that's happening right now. These changes show that the bigger changes are on their way, and we are here, just experiencing it. And I know Tui was thinking that it was to take us 6 months to get here, but I guess if we do a daily program, it moves things along much faster.
Well, there's something to be said about consistency, that people know, that something's happening, and they know, if you're consistent enough with what you're saying and sharing, and your character and your integrity, you don't have to, use shock and awe. The truth all by itself is very powerful, and just to share the truth and be the truth, right?
Right.
Be the truth speaking is much more powerful than just saying true things. You know, I was looking at these things here with what's shaking down with Trump, and I understand that there's I guess a psychological benefit, in these negotiations that are made for, people like Mnuchin. Now, I mean, I've confirmed it on very good authority that Mnuchin has been removed. He is no longer the Secretary of the Treasury. How that will be handled, I can't say exactly, but it would appear that he's made an agreement that he'll, their slick exit strategies, right? So they're already bringing up charges of potential conspiracy, right? With not conspiracy, but the ethics committee,
right,
basically wouldn't approve him,
right.
because he's in severe violation of a couple ethical guidelines.
Which just is a blackmailable item, right? Is one of the. Of course, he got in there with this sleight of hand, with the with the idea that his wife, he divested of this film company, right, or this this production company, and then comes back into his hands afterwards. So this is blackmailable material. These things, how is it made available? How does it come out to move them? It's all about their own systems of control being moved against them, right? To remove Mnuchin out of the position of power, and coincidentally, 2 of his assistants are already out.
Right, and he described them as his most trusted assistants, which means they are the people that we can trust the least, right?
Right.
Other than I guess if you know someone's going to betray you, you can trust them because you know exactly they're going to lie to you. It's like there's a story about pomp and circumstance. One always lies, one always tells the truth. you know, and
and between the 2, you can figure out what's going on.
Yeah, exactly right. You can figure it out. So you just gotta ask the right questions. So that's kind of what I see happening there. And the Secret Service, you got to think, if there's so many people on this level, they have not believed in what President Trump has been doing, because Trump has been working with the only true sovereign on the planet. So if you think about it from that standpoint, right, it's kind of amazing, because that's the reality, right? There has always been one royal monarch that over everything, and it doesn't matter what people's experience. See, we have to stop being impressed with mediocre experiences, right? if we look at all the things that they've accomplished, let's look at those things. Let's look at what they have done to us and for us, and just lay them out there. And at the end of the day, you know, most people feel they won't be able to do something in life. They settle for, average aspirations. Most people don't even desire or think about being, exceptional, because they don't feel like they have the right. And that's the truth. I mean, that's how most people are. And then people who, you know, think they can do more, right? One of two things happens. They either get brought into the order, right? And then they think, and then they're told, you really are exceptional, which is not the point, right? If you were,
Well, it's part of the separation, right? It's part of their system of control to separate them from everyone else, and then let's say their doctrine, that they're taught, continues to separate, continues to actually put them into the elite category and how separate they are, to the point of treating everyone else as less than, so that you can do whatever to them. And so
that's right.
it's just a continued separation. So, if there's any of that elite that want to realize that they're, part of humanity, then they should, stop doing the things against humanity, against everyone else. Do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Now, of course, in part of their training is to do these horrible things to each other, right? Oh yeah, I want that done to me because that's going to remove caring and love from me.
Right.
Those are bad.
Which they consider to be weaknesses, right?
Right.
So
yeah. In that way, they're severing themselves away from everyone else is complete. But that's their own psyop. It's, if you want to take it, it's the ones that are truly separate, the ones that are not human, that are basically put that on that group to basically show how you are not them, right? So they get a schizophrenic attitude. It makes them do everything that's opposite, right? So they've had their own psyop done against them.
That is the truth right there. Now that is the reality that I think is one that, as a public service announcement to all those in the order, that have been told that they're the elite, right? And they think that means that they are above the rest of humanity because they are exceptional and their blood makes them exceptional and they are alien. I read this email that was sent to Kim when she made them an offer. She made the other side an offer, to compromise. Like, here, look, you guys can have this, and let me put the rest of this money out for projects and for the governments, right? And their response was, "We will not negotiate with you, slave." That's what they said to her, right? Now, keep in mind, they worshipped all these people who were beneath Kim, worshipped them, and they refer to her. Now, imagine there's consequences for things like this, right? If this was the way that they ran the kingdom, there would have been immediate and tragic consequences. Now, all the people they worshipped are no longer there, right? They're all gone. Now, there's a reason why they're gone, and there's a reason why there's only one person left standing. That's the first thing. So all that, kind of cocky talk and, thinking that you're above it, it's like those are all the people. Everybody else on this planet was considered to be below them, and they treated us all like that for thousands of years. So think that's kind of the first thing. But they said, "We will not negotiate with you, slave." They said 80% of everything on the planet belongs to us. And basically something to the effect of, if you do not obey us, we will destroy you with the power of our minds. because we are aliens, or yeah, we are aliens and therefore gods. That was their actual email. Now, even if that's the way you think, who has the, you know, the nerve to write something like that down? It's like, wow, you are really out of control in your mind. Like you really think you are special, you know? And that's the
And I'd just like to point out that Trump won the election.
that is correct. Trump did win the
How did that
election.
happen? You're in control. How did that happen?
Right.
You-
Despite 40 years of training to take that away, right? 40 years of training for the zombie apocalypse to put, you know, Hillary Clinton in place. After all that time, that's what you guys did. Good job. So that's the kind of powerful stuff that I think we just gotta call it what it is, you know. And
Yeah. And, by the way, you don't have control of the trust.
all right, where all the assets that you put in there actually. And by the
You
way,
put,
good
all
job.
you put all the assets in there, and you don't control it. You're special. And we'll send the big yellow bus for you, or the little yellow bus.
Oh, that is. I'm not even gonna address that. but yeah, yeah. So
Well, it's. I guess it's the mirror, right? It's mispresenting the mirror. This is the attitude they're putting out, right?
yes, absolutely. No, I totally agree with you, and that's exactly what's happening. And you know, but it's an incredible. I mean, it's a really amazing moment if you can. You know, like sometimes I get a little. You know, I try to get rid of all that energy before I get on the call because you know sometimes I hear what they're saying and what and my concern is genuinely for the people because and for all of us by the way like I don't want it to seem like I'm doing a public service like you all affect me too and my family so you know I have no problem with that being selfish in that way you know as far as I'm concerned like if you got to take care of the people at home first and everybody who continues to you know buy into this lie and all this confusion. There is no confusion. Any one of these characters, the M1 from that group, you know, Neil Keenan, please, Neil Keenan, come on, let's talk about it. You know, Yamana, right? Come on down. Let's talk about it. And Mr. Kramer, who reached out to us, right? He wanted to talk to us, and he told me that there was vaults that were guarded by jinn. You know, by the jinn. He said they're safely guarded by the jinn. Now, don't we? I mean, the jinn are not for us. Hip hop.
Right. That's true.
Right. So it's
They're
like
not
if
a friend.
it's like if it's guarded by jinn and they're working for you know whoever it is that's supposed to be in control of that, doesn't it seem like maybe you know that could have a oh sorry sending up my father-in-law to Bioscan. Um, it could have just a negative you know a negative origin. You know why are the jinn guarding it? You know, still, right? It's like they're not for us. And then he was saying that these various characters, all these spiritual beings had come out, and then he mentioned the jinn again. He said these you know very high level jinn. That's like saying to me now. You know, I'm not trying to make any of the make the jinn mad, but isn't that kind of like saying like the high level Nazis? You know, have acknowledged you as the leader. Like, is that a good thing? It just doesn't seem like it's good to me. Maybe I misunderstand that. You know, and I'm open to correction on that. It's not a criticism. It's just my limited knowledge of that. But things of that nature, right? And then the next one was channelers. You know, a lot of channelers would be channeling fourth dimensional beings that are, you know, not necessarily as enlightened as you would think, because they're for the most part they're all tied to a catastrophic timeline, right? Where very few of us survive, you know, and they've all accepted that. But that is not the timeline we're on because we've transcended that. We're past that, right? And that timeline is not even an option. So the longer you perpetuate that ignorance, the more it gets. And I had a gentleman call me today, and he was all twisted because he had paid for $100 for a $5,000 trust, first of all. And then we bring you into the project planning network, and then we're doing that so we can make sure you have all the pieces you need to be successful so we can fund your project, right? Which could be who knows how much money. And he was all twisted up and mad at me, right? Because I didn't recognize who he was. And, and he did an interview on Gaia, and he's this and he's that. And I'm like, I don't care who you are. There's no hierarchy to me. I don't care who you are. What have you done for the people? How good is your idea? How does is your idea sound enough that it will actually have an impact on humanity in a positive way? Otherwise, I don't care who calls me. I don't care. I'm not impressed by your titles, but I don't care where you did an interview. All those things are cabal tools that they've allowed you to do that. As a matter of fact, in some ways, it's kind of a detriment. What it says is that you've been bought into their system so much, and you think that you're special, that you're better, and you're above it, everybody else, right? And that you've been recognized by these big organizations. That recognition doesn't impress me personally.
I just a little side note. When I was meeting with Mr. Sino AS with Swiss Indo back in the he invited me to the storage place for the vaults, right? And he said that it was guarded by a dragon, and if I would be okay with that. And I said, "Let's go." I'm all happy to meet up with the dragon. I told him I'd bring some sugar cubes with me.
Because all dragons have a sweet tooth.
I said, I'm a dragon. I got a sweet tooth. Every dragon I know has a sweet tooth. So,
I know. Who knew the way to win this war was my grandmother's brownies, right? Like my mother-in-law, she cooks a bunch of amazing stuff. I'm telling you, I could bring that stuff. This whole thing could be over in an afternoon, and we'd be having a dish to pass bake sale in no time at the church.
Well, the gin might like some brownies, especially if they're
oh my gosh, the poor gin are hanging out there guarding things.
I got you.
It's gotta be a miserable life.
So, Tui, do the gin like brownies?
Yes, sir.
I said, do the gin like brownies? I don't know who else to ask that question. I think you're the perfect one to ask. Or is it answerable? I got you tongue-tied now. So.
He's like the gin don't eat brownies, man. So, but anyways.
You want to add something?
Oh yeah. Just on that note that Tank is talking about, I just want to add on, on how the individual role of the people that are involved and the motives or the intent they are creating, and how they must they must first be able to focus on themselves, on how they think and how their body is creating the reality that they're in. And if they don't understand it first, then they will do things that will infringe on other people's sovereignty, and that's just what happens there. And it's so easy for people to get lost in the illusions of the body, the good and the bad, the news, the history, the doctrines, the belief systems, all these illusions that has been the way of life before this new beginning. It's really easy for people to actually be stuck on it, and they won't be able to move forward. Because every time they want to do something new, they want to take everything with them. They want to take their titles, their name. They want to take their what they know, the history, whatever they think that that completely creates the character or creates who they are at that moment, at that time. And it's very important to realize that this new beginning has to begin with a very, very place where the intent is pure and is loving. And the experience that you have and all these things that you have, all the illusions that you value, is just part of your wisdom that will not move you forward, but will be able to learn from and create anew. And so that's one of because I'm trying to speak it in English. It's quite hard to translate, but I know people will understand the intent of what I'm talking about, because there's so many people on doing their roles, but losing that focus, and so creating and still recreating the old past just by thinking about it. And the cabal and the people who controls this, especially the Great White Throne, he understands this because that's how creation and that's how it works. So he'll just just pull it up to you so you can focus a little bit on it, and then when it you forgot about it, and then he brings it up again years after years, and then you just keep focusing on it, and you keep creating that, and you people will always be stuck on that moment, on that now, that even though you think that it's a past, you already moved through it, you already experienced it, but as soon as it's come up again in the future, boof, you're back in that old time, that old moment. And this is why it's very important for people to be able to understand who they are, understand the essence, the 12 senses, how they value the illusions and how they can reveal it. So every time they create, even though they can think about these things, they won't take it with them, and they won't have that fear that actually drives that intention. And that's why they go back to these old experiences, old illusions, whatever information it may be, whatever doctrines it may be, whatever book you may read. All these are all illusion, all gifts. If you think they are true, if you think they are real, then your sovereignty is being compromised and you are locked in it. If you can value it from a very pure sense or point of view, and you keep that and don't let that drive you in the future. Because a lot of people, even the way they talk, it's because of the knowledge and everything that they have. They can talk from a very pure essence, the pure sense, the way they speak things, the way they do this. It always, all this library of knowledge that they get with them, who they think that they are. And that's the old way of thinking, the old way of how people are forced into education, how people are programmed. And it's people need to be able to understand that the essence within them is very pure and is the creator of all these illusions. And if they want to create something new, they have to go to that point, and then they will be able to see that everything in their life is a gift, and the future is a new gift of creation, and they will be able to do that. And if they forget, and if they still concentrate on all this history and all this past, trying to recorrect it, they will waste a lot of their time, because they will be stuck on that illusion. They will try and yes, go ahead, Dan. Sorry.
We're talking about creating something new. So how is it that we can tell the difference between something that is an illusion and something that we create that is not an illusion, or is everything?
Okay. All right. The spiritual beings that who we are, Manna, that's in us. It's the gift that every expression or every creation we have is to be able to create illusion, and to be able to create, and then you value it, and then it becomes real. And so this is our gift. What I'm saying is, if you all these illusions that's in the past, and you still value them deeply, it will conduct the way you create the new future. To be able to create a new future,
so we have to create a better illusion.
Yes, that's our gift. That's how simple it is. That's the only problem is that we still think of trying to fix things that has happened in the past, or that is within our awareness.
We build anew.
Yes.
We
Yes.
build abundance.
If we get
Build debt.
yeah,
We build
yeah. If you get stuck,
not hammered down.
yes, because this is what sovereignty. This is what Manna is. For you to first realize this, and for you to be able to reform and recreate, reveal new illusions in front of in the future. And if we can simply just do that, poof, we can, everyone can, everyone would be able to work together and do, we'll be moving really fast. Decades ago. But yes, the thing is, the lesson is there that we every time we focus or if you value any illusions that we truly value, that's how you're gonna try and drive or try and create the new future. And then you'll take that with you, but you'll always drag all these things with you, and you'll never heal, and you will always move with fear. Someone just talk about something, you go, oh, da, da, da. Someone talks about this, and then you go, oh. It's all based on the illusion of fear. And this is something that everyone will have to learn on their own. Everyone will be able to fully understand it on their own. So yeah, so I'm thankful really that we are talking about it, because it's healing. That's what healing is. And to be able to move forward, that's what we need. We need to recorrect some things that we will learn from, then move forward and get and create the new illusions that we want to create. So yeah, so right now we are doing that. We are trying to reevaluate and recorrect the new path that we're going to be doing individually, as a nation, as tribes, as people, as the planet. And so to be able to be talking about it in a way that is that I'm thankful.
One of the things that we have available to us in creating something new is we can look at what is existing as the illusion that we don't want, and know that we don't want that. Right? So we can now build the opposite. Right? So we have
that's how simple it is. First, you just have to know, because by the evaluation of or know, when you know it, you already it's 100% of the change that you're gonna the change you're not gonna need to do, because by knowing. The problem is that people
first I know, and then I will.
Yes. And so this is how the body organizes things, and people need to fully understand how to do that, and they will be able to accelerate the role and the purpose of what they are and what they do. And so yeah, yep, I'm thankful.
Well, let's do it. Yeah.
Sorry, there's someone on the chat room that would like to share some things about Hawaiian cultures and values.
In the chat room?
Yes. Wasabi
Okay.
Ginger?
I sent the link. The link is now in the chat. So whoever Tui is referring to about Hawaiian sovereignty, please join us. Well, let's see.
Wasabi.
What's the name?
Wasabi. Wasabi. Wasabi.
Wasabi ginger.
Ah, yes, wasabi ginger. I see. Yes. Okay, wasabi ginger. Calling wasabi ginger. Calling.
Wasabi. Join us.
Aloha. Can you hear me?
See, it works. Right? Just manifested.
I got it down. Hey, Tui, thank you so much for noticing. Everyone's just chat. You guys are just talking away, and everyone. I've seen people kind of wave and go, "Hey, can I get on and say, add something?" But anyway, you guys are doing a great job. But I just wanted to add, Tui, as you're getting to know Sam Jean, just bare bone essential cultural ways of thinking that are in complete how should I say alignment with yours, is, okay, first, there is aloha, which means breath of life. And when the first Westerners came, Hawaiians noticed that that these folks really didn't have much breath of life. Are you guys hearing me okay? Just
Yes.
checking in. Okay. So they called them haoles. And they weren't very well. Okay. They were very much indoctrinated, you know, in Europe. You know, and of course, Captain Cook was traveling for under the British Crown, of course, and that stuck. So white people in general are called haoles here in the islands, and it's often used as kind of a derogatory term. Because, you know, of all the conflict that has been going on here for some time. So that's the first thing. But aloha, so breath of life, mana, right? Okay. So if you draw a triangle between Hawaii and New Zealand and Tahiti, all the islands within that triangle, it has been found, share the most cultural similarities. Okay, so there's that. And Hawaiians have had to, in the early 70s, the doo-doo hit the fan finally, and Hawaiians had had enough. I mean, they've been told by the missionaries to put some clothes on, stop their nature-based practices, okay, and get their okolis in the pew. So, and the anger erupted in the early 70s. So that is what is known as the Hawaiian Renaissance. And there was a young man who was getting his PhD at UH Manoa University. And he wanted to see if he could replicate as much as possible from all the materials he read, a sailing vessel that could sail throughout the Pacific Islands. And so it was and this is the Hokulea. It's a double hull sail vessel. And it's about 40, 45 feet, something like that. And they were successful. They made it to Tahiti. I mean, everyone in Tahiti came out. They were so excited, they darn near sank the boat. It was, anyway, they brought on board from Micronesia, Papa Mau, a navigator to assist them with, as Nainoa Thompson, navigator Nainoa Thompson describes as esoteric, I call it native intelligence, which is what you've been sharing. So you're not sailing with GPS, you're not, you know, you're using the stars, and you're also listening to your ancestors. They are guiding you. And there are the nature spirits. And so there's all these things that helped people in the old days travel throughout the Pacific Islands. And but they didn't want anybody to know that. They didn't want, you know, I say they, I'm calling like let's just call them the deep state. You know, over the past 300 years, they didn't want anyone to know what Native peoples knew, how to live in complete harmony with Mother Earth. And anyway, so that's one, so that was a very significant time. And since then, the Hokulea did a 4-year journey around the planet. And they stopped at places where Native peoples came out, the children, and it was called Malama Honua, basically, which is taking care of our planet. Because without it, where would we be living? You know, really. I mean, you know, maybe somewhere else in the galaxy, but so there's that point. And then, so that was the beginning of the cultural renaissance, that they weren't allowed to practice since the time of the overthrow of the Queen. Now, when the overthrow happened, the palace in Honolulu was the first one. They had electricity before the West Coast of America, okay? They were extraordinarily wealthy. They were traveling to England, getting in bed with the crown, unknowingly what was lying there for them. And so there's that little piece that's, I feel, is a significant part of the history to know. And then the other thing in terms of a cultural practice is a thing called ho'oponopono. And I've noticed some of the people in chat already know about that or practicing that. It's gone worldwide. And what it is that you have a haku, so you have like a mediator. So if you have two parties, whether it's two people or two families or whatever the situation is, where they're in disagreement, it's basically conflict resolution, but done in ceremony, okay? You're using kava, of course, and no one can eat anything. They can drink water, but they don't eat any food. And it doesn't matter how many days and nights, whatever it takes for the two parties to come together to decide what the solution is going to be. So, and the haku just presides over it. I think the haku would be considered another arm of a kahuna, okay, the same as like a shaman. And so when you hear, which you might hear Sam Jean say, something about being in pono. So basically, being in pono means that you are, before you go to bed each night, you are in pono. First, vertically, with source, which Hawaiians call keakua. Keakua, mahalo keakua, all that I have. That sort of thing, and really, connect with that. And then, of course, some, because of the missionaries coming here, of course, some believe that there's this, God outside of them with the white beard. But at the same time, they're practicing a lot of Hawaiian ancient ways. And then there are those that have never, their whole family lineage, have never been inside a church. So it's a real mixed bag here. And so the other part of pono then is horizontally. Am I pono with my family? Am I pono with all my friends? Is there something that I need to make right before I go to bed? Okay, so then there's that. So ho'oponopono is essentially, it was distilled down. Instead of, someone came up with a way, I guess it was a decade or two ago, to kind of offer a shortcut for everybody around the planet, because these ceremonies would take so long to find resolution, even if it was to agree to not agree. So basically, the mantra is, I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, thank you. So basically what you're acknowledging is that person outside of you is another you. And so whether the situation warrants that you actually say that is one thing, but it depends on the situation. But a lot of people, it really works if you say it with all your heart and soul within, because it's all vibration and frequency. It's amazing how many times things just instantly seem to drop away or get resolved, or and it's a way to deal with maybe a hurtful situation. So there's that piece. And I'm just trying to think what else might be helpful for you. I know I looked up this, I didn't know who Judy had connected with. Now, we're all on the big island of the, you know, the island chain, and down Puna, which is a district, is a place called Uncle Robert's. And he has since passed on, but his son has taken over. And so Sam Jean goes down there off and on, and that's how Judy connected with him. And now this guy, when everyone was fighting against the building of another telescope on Mauna Kea, you know, he was in there and he got arrested. I mean, he's been tirelessly educating, you know, the corporate legal system in the islands. When I hear him speak, I can really feel his heart like I can yours. So I mean, I'm so happy Judy found him. I was racking my brains trying to think who. I mean, we don't have chiefs here anymore. Ever since Kamehameha the Great's rule, and then his successors, there's been, you know, this, well, a monarchy, if you will. So, but he's just so perfect. I so love the man, and I have so much respect for him that he's willing to go to jail for what he believes in. And so I just wanted to give my 3 cents, and I'm so excited about all this. I'm going to be spending the weekend with Judy and down Uncle Robert's on Sunday. So there, I'm done. And if you have any questions, fire away.
Well, thank you for that
You're
history.
welcome.
That was very informative.
Yeah, that it does help when we get perspective for everyone.
Thank you.
And we feel so thank you too. See? Oh. Well, you know, it is amazing that the Hawaiians are coming together.
Thank you so much, Wasabi.
You're welcome, Tui. Yeah, no, this is really, I mean, I have a very deep connection. My parents, I was born in Santa Monica, and my mom took up surfing in the 50s and 60s. In the early 60s, we moved to the North Shore of Oahu, and you know, back then nobody knew anything, you know, about the Queen and being imprisoned in her palace. And, you know, by the way, she wrote the most exquisite music while she was imprisoned in her palace. You know, it's just, I mean, the whole story here, it just is full of extraordinary tragedy and yet so much great beauty. And anyway, so when I came back, because then we moved in, that was like early 60s, late 60s, we moved to Australia. I finished high school, had my first job there, and I didn't come back to the islands until 32 years later. And I find out what has happened here, and I couldn't stop crying. I mean, it was just, it hit me as if it had happened to me personally. And so anyway, and the more I learned, the more I felt disheartened, because everybody was just so divided and kind of self-serving. And I just I couldn't see what I could possibly do to assist. I mean, I don't have any Hawaiian blood this time around. I know I've been here many times before as a Hawaiian, but not this time. Anyway, so I mean, so I really deeply feel like these are my people, but you know, I'm blonde, blue-eyed, you know, come on, you know, freckles. So anyway, but we all come back in, and I know some of us different costumes for different reasons, and so anyway, like I've said in the past, I'm here to kokua, which is to assist in any way I can, when you get here. And yeah.
Do you know where I'm from?
Well, I think you said Santa Monica, yeah?
I lived half my life in Santa Monica, but I'm from Earth.
Oh, you're from Earth?
Yeah.
So you're a native tribe.
Yeah, so I think we all need to come together and realize we're all from Earth, and then we'll start there.
Well, I mean, I kind of see it like this, and I don't expect anybody to agree with me, but this is how my brain kind of is seeing things, at least at the moment, always subject to change, right? Well, first of all, there were the Earth Keepers. Okay, they are the native peoples that were always here. And then
Wait, the who? The who?
Oh, Earth Keepers?
Earth Keepers?
Earth Keepers.
I'm not familiar with that term. I never heard that before.
Well, meaning the way I think of it is that the kahunas, the shamans, they knew how to take care of a planet. They understood, their third eyes were open. They understood, they could see the energy. They could work with the nature spirits. So therefore harmony, okay, just kind of in a nutshell. And then I believe, the history here of our galaxy and the solar system is humongous, and we won't go into that's a whole story, but other races came, okay, and so there's just been endless wars in the solar system. I mean, why does Mars look like it does? Anyway, I just feel that, this is how big this is, that with Tui coming forward, dang, when did he leave? I wasn't paying attention. Anyway, so with Tui coming, he's got a short attention span. Anyway,
no, I'm sure he had something.
He probably has something to do. Anyway,
we are trying to change the world here, so.
Yeah, I mean, he had to go feed those roosters. Anyway, so, but I just kind of see, this is why I see this as being so monumental, is that people like Tui coming forward and understanding what their kuleana, their responsibility is here on this planet. And because this war has been going on ever since the pre-written time of Egypt, when they've been messing around. So it's just very exciting for me. Anyway, did I lose my train of thinking?
You're very excited, and you were sharing all types of things about Hawaiian history, and Tui was gone, and
Tui's back.
Oh, he's back.
Yes,
hey,
I'm
Tui.
back. Sorry.
Hey,
Sorry. Hi. It's nice to be talking to you.
Well, yeah.
Sorry, I can't.
I didn't see how long you were gone for or what you missed, but anyway, it's all there.
I heard.
She's gonna start all.
Yeah, I kind of heard everything.
No.
Yeah. So basically, what he said. We understand. We have the same thing in Fiji. How to resolve conflicts and how to correct the path, and then how to move forward. This is the reason why, I'm in this situation with the Kingdom of Manna, because of my role, and we understand that we might be the only one who can do realign or correct, and ask them to fulfill the natural law of the original agreement that they agreed to with Kim. We do the same thing in the culture. It's we call it mataningasau. There's a ceremony that has to be done, and so this ceremony is going to be done not only for it's going to be a big one that Tank knows about. It's a ceremony of healing, the ceremony of resurrection, and the ceremony of recorrecting the new path and regeneration of a new future that we've decided to do together. And so we have everyone that they have their own role for the four element and the fifth element. They are representing that once these things sit together, we'll be doing that, and we'll need the Kim to be there. We'll need some of the world leaders to actually be there too, because this is part of all the agreements. That's why they are leading the planet right now, because this is part of their DNA agreement to be here, to be in this new creation. So no one will be left out of this new agreement, because it's a chance to balance the past and to balance it by creating a new future. The past has been a past of darkness. The new future will be the opposite to it. And so this is fully understood by the people, the chiefs. The only problem is the language is so different. And when you talk about summons and you talk about all this, it loses its value because of how what it really means and the essence of that the words that is so different between the translation. And that's why I don't like to use the English language for it, because it takes away the true value and the true essence of what these words in culture means in the native tongue. And so I'm very thankful to Wasabi. If she realizes the whole thing that we're doing now with what we're doing right now is actually the ceremony. We are preparing, and we understand that we have been so forget we forget our connection to our physical body. We forget our connection to the planet. We forget our connection to the universe. We forget our connection to the fifth element. And it's now time to actually remember it slowly and begin and re-heal and reconnect all these things. And so that's the whole reason why we are here talking about this, because of the healing that it's going to bring firstly to the awareness that of people that are here, and then we'll heal each other, and then we'll recognize each other, and then we'll create a new future that no one will be, everyone will be valued as sovereign, and also the plants, the animals, and all the spiritual hierarchy of the elemental kingdom as well. And it's a very big family unity celebration, and this is just the beginning.
I have a little story for you. I have a little story for you, Tui. So when I came back,
go ahead, please.
When I came back to the islands, it was 2001 May. Okay, before 9/11, and I was studying Kahiko, which is the ancient Hawaiian ways, with a Kumu teacher up north, the northern part of the island, other side from where Uncle Roberts is. And I got invited. Okay, the park services here have certain areas like Volcano National Park that they maintain, take care of. One of the most sacred places on this island is a place called Pu'u o Kohola. Kohola means whale in Hawaiian, okay? This site is a huge, what is called a heiau. Now, these heiaus were built over time throughout the islands because the shamans, the kahunas could see the energy spots, like where the portals were, okay, that were very powerful. And so they were sacred places, right? So anyway, when King Kamehameha came along, which I believe, some of us believe he was actually a hybrid part Draco, okay? But they wanted us to believe that he was from Tahiti, even though he looks Samoan. Anyway, but he was very warring, and he was posturing with another king down in another part of the island. And so he built this huge heiau, had nothing to do with the kahuna or anything like that, but it was a sacred spot. And it is said that stones, pohakus, were carried, you know, there was a huge line of people for like 10 miles that brought stones hand to hand, you know, to build this thing, and that he even participated, even though kings were not supposed to get their hands dirty, in building this humongous heiau. And anyway, this, in the end, you know, this other, his rival knew that when he came at Kamehameha's invitation, that he would be killed, and he was. And basically, Kamehameha, I mean, it's just like all of history is messy, and all these hybrids. I mean, heck, we're all part reptilian with our reptilian brains, the occiputs, right? So you know, even though they had these very arcane rules, like for example, if you walked in the shadow of a king, you could be put to death. Okay. And so they had these places on the different islands that were refuge. And if you could make it there without getting killed, then based on your crime, you would be forgiven, and everybody would knew, you know, you were forgiven. You could leave without fear of losing your life. We have a beautiful one here right on the ocean on this big island, which I'm sure you'll want to see. And the energy there is just spectacular. You'll love it. But getting on with the story about the heiau named after a whale. So I got invited to do an Ava ceremony there in 2002. And there, you know, King Kamehameha's lineage was represented by this Hawaiian man that lives there locally. I don't know that if he's still alive or not. He was a very sweet man. But anyway, he was presiding over it, and the Park Service now takes care of this whole area. You know, because we have tons of visitors coming through all the time. They want to know the history. They have like a little museum. Anyway, so I was invited for an Ava ceremony. There were probably about 100 people present. And there was a princess from Tahiti that was invited. And what I witnessed and what I experienced there was, and it all started in at twilight. You know, you start off with your chant, okay? And basically you're acknowledging all of life, the nature, spirit's presence, the whole thing, right? And so it was such an extraordinary experience. It's like I didn't know what timeline I was in, quite frankly. And back then, my mind hadn't quite grasped the idea of different timelines. I mean, you know, almost 20 years ago, the energies were more dense back then. But it was extraordinary. And then I watched this princess present to the lineage of Kamehameha the Great a gift. And the dance that she did was not the one that you see for visitors, you know, whether you're going to Tahiti or you see here, you know, presented, say, at the Polynesian Cultural Center on Oahu. But it just blew my mind. I mean, because there was so much communicated without words, is my point, and it was sacred. So when you talk about Ava ceremonies, or we call it Ava because, well, I don't know, the K, well, and then we got, well, I don't know, you call it, what do you call it? You call it, what do you call it? Kava. So Kava, Ava, same thing. So just so you know that. And I think if you make enough time, I know you have a lot on your plate to do, but if you make the time to really experience this whole island, I have a feeling that you would really resonate with it pretty big. So, and by the way,
why do you
go
think
ahead.
that, Wasabi? Do you think it's because he grew up in a tribal culture and they're related and he talks about it all the time, or some other reason?
Well,
I mean,
okay.
that was a joke. That was a joke. Don't answer that. Don't answer that. Cut to the chase. Cut to the chase. Cut to the chase. Keep it moving.
Well, several reasons, because this island is almost 100 miles. It's approximately 100 miles across. All the other islands are much smaller, and this island is still being created, and because there just seems to be, I mean, Molokai and this island seems to hold some of the most significant ancient knowledge. People that, you know, in secret had to hold it or be killed. So
like Fiji.
yeah. And then also it's just the energy of an island still being created. It's phenomenal.
Yeah, I can dig that.
And many blessings to you, Tank, for assisting Judy to get through the whole drama down at Puna side last
Hey, look,
year.
Judy is a force to be reckoned with. You know, I mean, at best, all I did was say, "Here is the information," and she took it and ran. She is I'll tell you, she's not somebody anybody wants to mess with. She's already what we're doing right now. Judy's already done by herself, taking on these the giants. Yep. Just following her example.
Well, we've had a pretty good talk story on FaceTime already, and then so we're going to be getting together and spending some time over the weekend. I'm really excited about it. You know, I had planned, back in March, I bought my tickets to go to Maui to the Taro Festival, and I've always wanted to go and never had the money. And to just be with a Hawaiian friend who founded it many, many years ago. She's coming from Oahu, but I just suddenly went, nope, this week I can't. I've got to, Judy's here. She's leaving next Tuesday. So I canceled everything yesterday, today. And I just need to be here and be present.
Well, that's cool. I'm glad you're there and present. Hey, Tui. This is my father-in-law, Gabe. That's my mother-in-law, Suri. I need you to send some of that Fijian healing energy to him right now. He's got a little.
Yes.
He's got some kidney issues, all right, and some gout issues.
Oh, hi.
Yeah, over here, just trying to fix him up a little bit. Right. Okay. I'll see you guys later. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off there, Wasabi. I was just walking out the door. So.
Well, and another reason, Tui, to this island, where this island first broke surface, the Pacific Ocean, is also where it's a very, very powerful healing spot. It's called Lapakahi. And the first time I went down there and stood out on the point, I just went, okay, I just want to set up my tent here and live forever. I mean, it felt so good. So that would be something that you would probably like to go check out. So make some time when you come, if you can.
Believe me, I will when the time comes for the realignment. Yes, yeah. And yes, I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna come together. Yes, and yes, like how Kim said, when everyone is fulfilling their role, the whole thing will just accelerate and even move faster. Because now that we're talking about it, it will be in the awareness of everyone, and we'll be able to not just excite, but move it swiftly forward into the now that we want to be in. And so Yep, we will come. We definitely come and visit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And let's hoe that one.
Everyone,
And I wanted to
everyone will
tell
need
you,
to come to Fiji.
and I wanted to tell you too, when I was 16, and so
Yes.
that would have been 1966. So we were living, you know, Oahu, and my father was thinking about moving to Australia. So we took a P&O, you know, a British P&O liner, the Orsovas, to Australia. But on the way, we stopped in Fiji, Suva, and my dad chartered, you know, with other people. I mean, it wasn't just a private charter, but it was a small boat that went out to the Yasawa group.
Yes.
And so we were there for 2 nights, and I will never forget it. I will never forget it. And we met peoples out there that we were told, you know, some had still not seen white people. I don't know if I believe that, but it sounded anyway.
You,
and then,
we,
and I'll never forget, there was this young Fijian man, you know, I was 16, he was probably like 19 or 20 or something. I was like, oh my gosh, I was so hopelessly in love. I thought you'd appreciate that.
So in the Sawas we have an island called Manna Island. That's Manna Island is you can look it up in Google.
Is Neil Keenan the president of that island? I'm just curious. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
And so Manna Island is it's because we don't have written books for our history. We write it down on the land, and so every history that is part of that planet is written on the whole island. If you look at Fiji, the Fiji Islands, the whole island is a history of the whole planet. And the Manna Islands just represented the time that we separated from the Manna, and then we name Fiji Viti, and Viti means we are looking for the Manna. And now that we have, not just physically find it, we are it's multidimensional, so it's all coming together. We're not just going to change the name of the island, the whole Fiji, the whole of Vonoko Viti, and there's a lot of level, because that's why I need people to be able to come, because there's not just a linear sequence of things, but also a multi-level of dimensions of how all these things are coming together and working together. And it's quite hard to speak it and talk about it in words. So I said, you can't talk about it's not you can't talk about it. It's just if you put it into words, it loses the essence or the pure understanding of it. Is of the it's Manna. It's called the fifth element.
Yep.
And we are talking about it. So the context is
Yep.
Yeah. Even in Hawaii, you will understand what Manna is.
Well, and it's in aloha, you know, within that triangle, when each of the cultures, you know, particularly Hawaiians and Maoris and then Tahitians, they went, you know, wait a minute, and they had to fight to regain what they almost lost. Okay. I think when in Hawaii, if one more generation had gone by, all would have been lost. They were that close. And it had to do a lot with the Hokulea and Noah Thompson, who just never gave up. And so when you might, I don't know if you do this in Fiji or not, but like when you see now Pacific Islanders, because of the Hokulea's voyaging since the 70s, that when you meet, instead of just hugging, you come face to face, and you connect forehead to forehead, nose to nose, and you breathe in and out. And that is basically aloha. And that is acknowledging that we all share the same breath of life, Manna.
That's it.
But
Yeah.
Tui,
And
in your head then.
yes, in Fiji. In what?
I said he in your head. Is that okay?
What?
National
No, yeah, in Fijian we call it bula.
Bula.
In our language is bula. Bula means life essence. Bula,
Bula.
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 So that's
And
okay.
so aloha in
That's a good
Hawaii. Yeah,
That's the
bula
commonality.
is life. Yeah, bula is life force. So yeah.
Huh.
So just like the agreement of the expression of language, because even the expression of language is also part of this joining together and having that fun to be able to reunite the levels. One of them is language. And so we are in a very important time in this moment that we are speaking the same language in our mind, in our heart, the language of Manna, and everyone on the planet is speaking the same language as well. So that separation that is symbolic in the Bible, in Bab El, Babel, the gateway. Bab El simply means Bab El. Bab is gate, El is the Elohim, and El is Babylon. And so Babylon simply represents the separation of everything. You from God, you from ourselves, and you from your neighbors. And now we're just recollecting all this and gathering it up together. Like I said, there's multi-level of unity that is coming together, and it's a very it's very hard to actually put it in words. But as we go through the experience, we will learn so much from what we may think we understand, we may think we know, and that's the lesson that is part of the agreement of our soul agreement, that we have to reconnect and reorganize and reunite. And it's fun in that way. If we had the same language in the whole planet, it wouldn't be fun to do this. It would be boring. And now we complicated things so much. We created language in certain ways that we enslave ourselves with it. Then we have all the native tongues on the planet, and we have all these different. And then to be able to bring it together in this way, it's amazing. It's a probability, ones in trillions and trillions of probability for this to happen. And this is the power of the essence, the fifth element within us. No matter how complicated, how complex, how confused the whole entire planet would be in, we are here and we are able to actually put it up together and rebuild it. And I know that Bab El, now it's just simply inside us. Bab El, the gateway to God, is in you. And just because you forget about that in the past, we got lost and we couldn't find it. So for thousands of years, we've been finding who we are, and it's so wonderful and so beautiful to be in that experience of remembering with everyone in here, with Tank, with the Manna World Holding Trust, with Kim, with you, Dan, with Sabi here talking with us, with everyone in the chat room in the future, everyone that you in your small world that is coming together, refiguring out, remembering the sovereignty within us. And I'm glad and I'm very grateful to be in this point, in this time, and to be able to be doing this with you. And I'm grateful. And and love and blessings from the people here in Fiji to the rest of everyone in the world. And thank you so much. Pinakapakaliw.
Thanks, Tui.
Mahalo nui loa.
Well, thank you.
Mahalo, mahalo.
Mhm. Mahalo is basically a contemporary word because back in the day they had no need for the word thank you because it was just known that abundance was free for everybody. There wasn't money, there wasn't, you know what I mean?
Abundance
Yeah.
everywhere.
In Tonga, and in Fiji, in where I come from, we say malo. Malo is thank you, and it's also greeting. So malo and malo lele is a greeting in Tongas. And from where I come from, we say malo when we give thanks or we thank you. And it is contemporary in Hawaii, in mahalo. And it's gonna be fun to actually be able to compare the meanings and the language. For the Maori, and the Maori and the Fijians, we have very similar language. The language is so similar. All the names of everything, the body, the families, and we have the same words, same language. So it's so easy for me to go there and just stay there for a month, and I can understand what they're talking about, because they're almost speaking Fijian, but just slightly in a different tone and a different expression. And so the rest of the Pacific is the same, and also the Hawaiian language, because it's just represent the expression of the DNA that we have together, that groups and that family that unite us all. And then we'll, for the rest of the 12 tribes on the planet, and how this will actually motivate us to bring us and rejoin us together, to be able to reconnect all these, we might call these values of illusions that have separated us for so long. And so to be able to re-evaluate them, reorganize them, we will learn a lot of lessons from it. Lessons of love that we all expressing, and so it's it's gonna be fun.
Maikai no means yes, yes. I totally yes. Mahalo noise.
Well, all right then. Dan, what are you thinking, man?
Hello, Dan.
I had to go turn on the fan. It was getting so hot, so I put it on. Too much energy.
It's hot here in New York too. It's like 46 degrees, so in New York, that's pretty good.
Wow.
He means Fahrenheit, not Celsius.
Oh, not Celsius. Oh, because we calculate things in Fiji in Celsius. So
Celsius.
48 degrees.
Goodness, you're on the sun.
That's like here in Fiji. Yeah.
Well,
So I'm thankful. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Wasabi. Thank you, everyone on the chat room. Thank you so much for today. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for the awareness and the essence, the manna that is in you. That is the reason why you are here. Thank you so much for your expression of love and gratitude that that is you are. Thank you for everything that is happening. And may the blessing and love from our eternal Creator be upon us now and into the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Tui.
Thank you, Tui.
Mahalo noise.
Yeah, thank you, Wasabi.
Wasabi.
Thanks, you guys. You guys do a great job. I love you.
Love you too. Thanks for joining, and everyone, thanks for participating. And we'll be back tomorrow, and keep this rolling. We have a lot to do to change the world and make our new illusion.
Yeah. All right. Peace out from New York, guys.
Take it easy.
All right. Bye-bye, everybody.